Good evening. I call this regular meeting of the Verona Township Council, Monday, October 30th at 7:00 p.m. to order. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act and finance statements?
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council. The meeting time and date were included in the public meeting notice, along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice and meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building and sent to the official newspapers of the Township, the Verona Times, and the Star Ledger, at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and handouts can be viewed online at veronanj.org/council meetings. The public comment period will be held in the orders listed on the meeting agenda, and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland?
Here.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Here.
Councilman Roman?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Here.
Mayor Tamboro?
Here.
Mayor also present in the meeting is Township Manager Jody Arco, Deputy Manager Kevin O'Sullivan, Township Attorney Brian Aloya, and myself, Municipal Clerk Jennifer Kieran.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would everybody please stand and join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's a pleasure to welcome back Mr. Coltrane, our county liaison, after his international travels and various other things. It's good to see you, Jay.
Thank you very much. Yes, international travel. I came back. Being said, first thing on the agenda is tomorrow at 9. And we look to have you. Our night. Or whatever they call it at the zoo. I was told I inquired my candy, other goodies. I may stop in a costume. So the goodies will be there for the children. It's right. Camp, I thing. And November we are starting. And it's starting on Friday or Sunday. Doing for the end of the year. 5th of Crestmont. It's in the for the holiday. I was walking Friday morning to
Thank you, Jay.
thank you very much.
On to the rest of the mayor's report. I first would like to thank the Verona Clergy Council for putting together a wonderful ceremony in solidarity of the people in Israel, Gaza, and the region. We had a wonderful participation from several of our local clergy, and I was honored to speak. And there was a great crowd there as well. So it was a wonderful event. And thank you for Township administration for providing the facilities support that they needed as well. Moving on, I had the honor of speaking at the annual opioid awareness walk that came through Verona. It starts in Newark and walks up Bloomfield Avenue and terminates in Caldwell. The highlight is that in addition to all the walkers that come from there, the Belleville High School buses up their students to start at the park and walk their way toward Caldwell, which is great. It was wonderful to meet. So young folks, one of them in particular that the deputy mayor and I met, could probably sit in our chair based on his comments and his personal skills. So I commend them, and I look forward to reaching out to their superintendent and sharing congratulations as well. And I thank the Verona Police Department Community Outreach Program for being there and helping to coordinate that. I had the pleasure at the same time and well into the hours after of attending the annual Halloween event, which was a great time. It was packed. It was wonderful to see everybody, adults and kids in costume. It was probably, I think, the most that I'd seen at the event. Even eating, the Councilman Roman and I went to a local establishment, got some takeaway food, and sat and kind of people watched, and it was great to see everybody walking around town. There were just people everywhere, really enjoying and showing that Verona is certainly a walkable community as well. I would like to give my congratulations to the Verona High School Marching Maroon and White for their win, actually several competitions and overall best effect. At their first appearance at the American Regional Band Championship at Rutgers. That was a phenomenal achievement, and the band, in addition to doing so much for the schools and being one of our highlights of Verona, does a great deal for our community as well. Is always there to support our events. Tomorrow there is a very important mayor's call, which unfortunately, due to a changed schedule at my workplace, I will not be able to attend, but Deputy Mayor McAvoy and the manager and Chief Kiernan will be attending in my place. Part of the mayor's call will be the prosecutor Ted Stevens talking about car theft in Verona, what the prosecutor's office is doing about that. So look forward to hearing about that and reporting on that at the next council meeting. This has been an issue that does reach all of our desks and phones relatively consistently. I'm excited to also announce tonight a new initiative where during the mayor's report once per month, we'll be recognizing a different nonprofit or volunteer group that serves Verona. We'll be giving the group about 5 minutes to share their missions, recent accomplishments, and how to join to really highlight the phenomenal work that all these groups are doing. And we plan to start hopefully with the Lions Club if we can get that done in the next 30 days. So I look forward to that, and we'll have our calendar out as we do that. I thank the Township administration for their support in doing this. I hope to bring some awareness and increase our roles in all of our groups, especially among new residents. And that concludes my report for this evening. I am pleased to turn the meeting over to Mr. DiArco for the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Running it on a list. This is staff now will be looking at our codes and ordinances that we will need for 2024 and begin to addressing those and preparing a list. As soon as the clerk gets her head above water on the elections coming up. The animal control agreements, the West X6 managers, administrators are looking into shared service and is our current services cost effective and efficient. Friends of Verona Parks, the 501c3, final reports will be coming in for January. We should be up and running in 2024 or early 2024, the first quarter of the year. Kevin will report on the rate study, interlocal agreement on fire prevention for Cedar Grove. We should be seeing that proposal in January 2024 and reviewing it with the council. Recreation field usage report has been provided to the Recreation Committee. They are discussing it. We still have some blanks in the uses by the Board of Education, which we're working on getting.
I did have
Superintendent.
not to interrupt you, Joe, but I did have a conversation with the superintendent about that, and she was not aware of this, so if you can reach out to her and communicate with her directly, I'm sure she can get the information that you need.
That, you know, it was wrapped up into the interlocal agreement.
That's all that stuff. Yeah.
Kevin has the Oswald Engineering on their residential escrow fees. You'll be seeing new guidelines for those. And the water plant is in his ballpark. We'll be going out to bid for the PFAS. You're on schedule. The staging aid both for Wind Drive and for Fairview. And the recycling, solid waste and recycling bids, Kevin will report on that. Everett Field, we're in the grant request stages now. We'll be looking at CDBG, we'll be looking at open space, we'll be looking at state funding, and Millennium, our grant writers also have that on the Richter scale. I also was scheduling a meeting with the resident who had a concern about the drainage. My office is in communication with him, the engineer, myself, and we'll be meeting on what the engineer's findings were on the foundation drainage for that project, and we'll be meeting on that subject. The traffic light on Compton, from what I understand, everything with the state has been approved. The applicant has all his approvals, but I don't have the exact date when they're going to start that project. Lead-based paint hazard inspection program is final tonight. The CDBG funding for the playground, that's scheduled for bidding. Now we have a $200,000 grant from CDBG for the bathroom that's being dropped in. The price of that bathroom came in about $100,000 more, and we're going back to CDBG for an additional fund from the end of the year surplus that they have. Your Board of Health meeting, thank you very much, has been scheduled. Your semi-annual meeting has been scheduled. Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate that. The Public Safety Complex will be in review for 12/23 meeting, hopefully. The council will have an opportunity to see the final designs that everybody's agreed on, and we're in the grant stages now. There's a number of elements that we're looking at that will hopefully offset some of the costs. I'm working with the architect on those items that can be funded, and we'll be moving in that direction. I've also asking the county for advice on offsetting the costs for the buildings. The tree ordinance fee, my council will be getting a report. I think you got a preliminary from the CFO that the cost of those experts are costing us, and you'll need to see the details on that. And we'll most likely the administration will be recommending fees for the experts, so we're not bearing the cost of that effort in the ordinance. The parking fee ordinance, Kevin has that. He'll be reporting on the complexity of what we're dealing with. Shared service agreement with the Board of Ed. We did have a meeting with the superintendent, and Jorge is the administrator there. And we were supposed to get some information on what services the Board of Ed is providing, and we have ours, and then Brian will be preparing a interlocal agreement per se, and hopefully we'll have that before the year's out. And that's actually all I have for you, unless there's any other questions. You have items 22 to 25 that are pending at the council. Yes.
I have some questions. So just going back to Everett, so while you're applying for grants, we did have follow-up questions. So do we know when we may get a response from the engineer on our follow-up questions from the last meeting? And then I'm not sure if the Rec Advisory Committee sent over any questions or comments on the plans to.
I didn't see any from the Rec Advisory Committee.
The rec advisory committee established subcommittees and they indicated at their meeting that they would discuss it at their December meeting. They don't have a November meeting because of all the scheduling. So they have an early December meeting and they were going to vet their subcommittee recommendations with the entire committee and then bring it back to the council in December.
This is not a project that's going out January, February, March. We need to get everything in first. We needed the plans, the cost estimates, the designs, so that you can submit those for funding applications. That's half of the issue is previously you would be scrambling to put these things together for grant funding agencies. You're now not putting the horse before the cart. You're getting it in the right order. You're prepared. You have plans. You have cost estimates. That's what funders want to see. So
Okay.
you're on schedule for the right procedure.
Okay. On the traffic light at Pompton, I thought there were some financing issues.
There was, on the first request on the financing issue, which I brought to the council, we weren't enamored with putting funds into a private project. I advised them of that. Then the request was, could we provide police security for the project? That's at a cost, obviously, which was probably as significant as the request to pay for all the permits.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would have went through your PBA, and I don't see off-duty work happening that way. They do have the ability to go to the state for state police, which I indicated the same thing. But we did put in an application for safe routes to school, and that was not successful.
Okay. But so are they moving forward or?
That's my understanding.
Okay. If I may just make a suggestion, it's great to see the building be slated for conversation, but which I think you said like on December 23rd. Since it's so close to the holidays, for the public being, I think the public's gonna be really interested in that presentation. It may be worth delaying to the first meeting in January. That's just my personal opinion, but to maximize participation from the public.
We don't- I'm sorry, we don't have a meeting on December 23rd. It's December
Oh.
18th.
They're coming in here.
It's
What's
December,
what's
December
that?
18th.
December 23, so it would probably be the 18th.
18th.
Oh, the 18th. Oh, okay, it was, yes, well, anyway,
That was me, I'm sorry.
You say it's December 23.
so just a thought, even the week of the 18th, people are very busy, but the 18th is not as close as the 23rd. I didn't look at the calendar. Anyway.
I understand, the holidays on my mind. Whatever the pleasure of the council is.
I'm fine with the 18th. If you plan on that day, let's go with that.
And then we will be getting it out to the public, the plans and the reviews of. You can comment. Municipal Alliance Committee. Yeah,
Joe.
Ms. Jocelyn?
First for the resolution.
No, you can speak.
Joe, real quick, how soon before we get to see the design of this stuff?
we can send them to you now. Yeah, which is,
The earlier the better.
okay,
Yeah.
which doesn't include the pieces we're going for grants.
And welcome.
Hi, I'm okay. The HPW. VMAC. About the night. Where Awake Alive. Prevent alcohol abuse. For support. And the community.
Thank you, Ms. Jocelyn. Would you like to introduce the other members of your committee that are in the room with us tonight?
Colin Boyle. Hines, Liz. Our veterans.
And we have
Looking forward
another
to a good
we have an
year.
appointment on the agenda tonight for FN Brown, which is great as well.
Yes,
I thank you for your efforts. It's good to have you back.
thank you. It's good to.
In here, and as somebody who ran one of the club sponsored by BMAC years ago and attended meetings, I am a strong mission, and I thank you for all that you do, and that everybody who has continued to serve. Mr. Boyle has been on for 2 decades, Colin?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. So, which is phenomenal to see. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Johnson? Comments, questions? No? And thank you very
Thank
much.
you again for your.
The resolution forward now.
If you would like to make a motion to pull from the consent agenda to move the resolution, I would certainly entertain it.
Since they're here, I would like to make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is resolution, this would be, we're moving resolution K4 to the present. Any other discussion? Okay. Seeing no objection or any discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sorry, my fault.
Sorry,
I
Jack.
didn't expect that. Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance K1 will be numbered 177 and passes 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And if we could ask Ms. Northrup to post that on social media and raise as much awareness as we can down to resources, that would be phenomenal. So I thank you guys all for being here. You're welcome to stay for all of our meeting. I know Kate told me before that she wanted to stay the entire meeting. And we're more than happy.
I did.
Mr. O'Sullivan, I believe you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my report is the water rate study. New gen strategy. For the rate study. Is the wastewater. Boswell. Word, addition. state. Fill this on an intro. And as we before, we will look at
I know we had, sorry to interrupt, but I know we had several people in public works taking classes.
Yeah, taking classes.
So nobody's at the point where they're qualified. yet.
we have an S.
Not necessarily. Thank you.
S. Fairview Avenue Wells. Um, Leaders of buying 100. The commitment. It's been circulated. I think ultimate. Back online as quickly as. Ineffective water for our system, and we're more and more reliant on water and
Councilman?
I did. First off, thank you very much for the analysis. Just given the, how far your chart goes back, I didn't actually see any, time periods where the wells did actually produce at the 90% capacity. If we go back into, far history, have we ever actually seen them perform at that level?
I could do it. When they reviewed 100%. They being able to produce or overburdening the wells could handle.
Right. What I'd really like to get at is whether or not this is a theoretical or a realistic number. I mean, I've heard of people having to take residential wells and hydrofracture them to try and get the production rates up. Are we actually looking at a rehabilitation process for the wells themselves in order to do this? Or
Jacobs has.
yeah, that's what I'd like to know is if we've ever.
Sure.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So, I just want to note though, that the return on investment is based upon maintaining that level of production. And so part of that comes down to the actual maintenance and asset management of the utility. So those things are going to go hand in glove, which is likely why your rate study is tied to the Boswell engineering analysis as well. But I think the important part for the municipality and most particularly for the administration is maintaining that level of maintenance and service, right? That is clearly the number one issue that we have with all of our infrastructure in this town is that we make a tremendous investment up front. And then it's that ongoing routine maintenance, like just changing the oil in your car that we're not doing, and it's not going to run as efficiently. So if we're basing our financial calculation off of, this projection that it's going to be running that efficiently, then we have the obligation to do that. So I would ask that the administration, factor that in and make that a priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Continuing on. The approval. The ordinance. That I will be. Again, there was of the park. And on digging. Prior ordinances which were. And held in below the county average. Parking meter rates to be consistent with the county average. And then the last municipal account. Different energy.
Any questions? Well, before we do questions, I told Mr. O'Sullivan individually, but I thank you for the detail of your reports and the research you put into them, the explanations you put in. It makes them easy to digest for people that are not doing all of the research. So thank you for that. You've already jumped in you're less than a month here in the township, so I appreciate that. Councilman Roan.
Just going back to the township's energy supplies, again, providing some historical perspective that there have been a few things that we've looked at in the past regarding municipal energy supply. We did do an energy efficiency improvement project through PSE&G on all of our municipal facilities except for the wastewater treatment plant, because it didn't qualify as it was a large industrial facility. I'd be curious to see if there are any strategies there. And then secondly, the municipally owned solar systems. A number of those were put on back when we were selling SRECs, which obviously there's no market for right now. But there were some locations within the municipality that do not have solar because at the time when it was done, there was not net metering. With Councilwoman Holland knew some more about this as to whether or not that was a possibility at this time or not. On the spot. But,
No, net metering has existed since 1999, so it definitely did exist at the time. I don't know why we didn't utilize it.
that was the argument that before all the solar went up before I got here. I'll tell you that much. That was always the story that I heard was that it was.
There is a market for SRECs. They're SREC twos now.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, then there are some strategies. The pool specifically, supposedly the building rooftop there was designed specifically to hold solar, but that's why they never put it on. It was they thought they couldn't get net metering. So. In terms of offsetting the township's own energy uses, another sort of look at our solar production situation might not be a bad thing.
Okay, great point. Thank you.
Thank you for the detailed information. Sorry to put you on the spot.
I just want to back up to the meter rates. You showed us a revenue analysis. Did we have any idea of what we spend for employees, the meter people that go up and down the avenue and check? Is there a number there that, you know, does this offset each other?
We actually have this, didn't
We
we?
have that information, we'll get it to you.
Okay.
Because I had asked for that at one point before. Pretty sure we have it.
Yeah.
And I just know on top of it, like I'm looking at these, the revenue that you showed us. My thought is there's a lot of lost revenue there because we have a lot of meters that are either missing or not working.
Yeah.
I mean, right here on Bluefield Avenue in front of the town hall, there's meters that aren't working right on the avenue and are missing.
Couple meters.
Once those are the spots you want to park at.
Yeah.
So once we get all these meters together and all in place and working, I think these numbers would be a little higher. So when we look at rates, we have to think about that too.
Part of the future plan, because your meters that you have out there, we can't get parts for anymore. So it's impossible to update them. So you'll be looking at more of a kiosk concept on metering. There won't be individual meters and it'll be kiosks where parking lots will start with one location at a time because we just can't do the whole bill. So that is on the plan.
Thank you for that foresight, for sure. Councilman Grant.
Thank you. I was going to say something similar to Deputy Mayor McAvoy. And I think looking at what enforcement looks like on the parking side as well. But again, with so many broken meters, I think it's hard to do enforcement. So we're definitely in a chicken and the egg situation. Back on the solar, my understanding is also, again, going back to Councilwoman Holland's great comment about keeping up with maintenance, the solar panels are not even operational because they were recalled and no one bothered or for whatever reason, no one in the administration went to follow through to get that recall fixed so that they could become operational. So I think there's an opportunity to look really holistically. We talked about this in the past. And there may be grant money out there to do a holistic energy study. I know Councilwoman Holland knows all the correct terms. So I'm gonna we keep deferring to her because she's the expert. But regardless, I think this is a huge opportunity and then a huge opportunity to share with our Board of Ed colleagues. Because I think the fact that we're spending so much money on electricity throughout the entire township is something that we really should be pushing towards both on our side and the Board of Ed side.
Just from the Board of Ed side, they've actually done energy savings audits and things like that on their end, so we can really share with them, but they actually had Honeywell come in and other organizations to look at different things over the years. Councilwoman?
I just want to note for the record that I did separately correspond with Mr. O'Sullivan about community energy planning. There's also the opportunity for remote net metering, which resolves some of the concern about net metering at the pool facility, because with remote net metering, you can actually have a host account and then various receiving accounts, so you can size your solar facility larger. It is ideal for public entities and it has been utilized by some public entities, and there are different firms that have collaborated with both Rutgers, but also Woodbridge Township and North Wildwood and others. There's also the new triennium that the Board Public Utilities is embarking on for energy efficiency programs. And I do believe that there's a lot of opportunity there. We have the opportunity for energy savings improvement plans, which provide, you know, opportunities outside of some of the more restrictive elements of local public contracting law. And, you know, I do think that there is opportunity beyond just energy efficiency for collaboration with the Board of Ed. So to the extent that we're talking about an MOU with the Board of Ed, there might be opportunities for sizing solar, doing different remote net metering projects, because, for example, they are also a public entity. So, you know, where you have a municipal complex like we do, where you have HVW right there, which is Board of Ed property, but we have our municipal building in all of our accounts, that might be an opportunity. So it's definitely something that, you know, a lot of us have talked about. You know, everybody on this day has had comments about it. So there are definitely opportunities there. And it just takes creativity and utilizing the levers that are there. There is still state financing. There is still a market for SRECs. It's not as lucrative as it had been 10 years ago, but it's still there. So instead of getting like a 3-year return on your investment, it's probably more of like a 5 to 10, but you know, it's still pretty decent.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. O'Sullivan? Okay, seeing none, do you have anything else, Mr. Diarco, in your report?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. We're gonna move on to the council member reports. Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As is always the case, volunteers in Verona do a lot in town, and they keep us busy on weekends. So I'm going to recognize and congratulate the Verona juniors once again on a very successful Verona Fights Hunger Week. It's always just a great day, although even in the bad weather, a lot of people came out last Saturday to load the truck that Casella and Sons brings here. I wish I could one of these years, maybe next year, go and help them unload, because it's a lot of food inside this truck. You can imagine how much time it takes to take it out and organize it, but congratulations to them again. And then from there, I went to another group of volunteers in Verona, the Lions Club. They have their medical equipment closet, and they had a family from Verona, the Horodskis, ask for medical equipment for the United Ukrainian American Relief Committee, which is based in Philadelphia. The committee sent a truck from Philadelphia. These two gentlemen drove it up here, and they pretty much didn't clear it all out, but from their loan closet up at the Annex building, the Lions Club donated about $20,000 worth of medical equipment, beds, wheelchairs, crutches, commodes, pretty much anything they had in there. So congratulations to them, and you know, great that they do all their hard work, and they're always looking for volunteers. As Mr. Diarco is a member of the Lions Club, if you'd like to help them out and put some cash in your pocket, they are running a 50-50, which usually gets up to about $14,000 or $15,000. So you'll see them from time to time throughout Verona on the weekends selling tickets, or just reach out to the Lions Club to buy a ticket. This past week, there was, as the mayor mentioned, the opioid awareness walk. They've been doing it for many years now, from Newark all the way up to Caldwell. The group from Belleville that was here were very happy that it overlapped Halloween in the center of town, because they had something to do while they were here, and grabbed some candy and got some energy for their walk up to Caldwell. But the mayor did a little speech there along with our PBA. So thank them both for what they do and advertising it and bringing awareness to this opioid epidemic. And Halloween was a great success. What a difference a day makes between Saturday and Sunday. Thank God they had the weather on Saturday. It was very successful. And lastly, I know a couple things left. There's a group in Verona, Verona Rocks. It used to be Verona Kids Rock. They did some fundraisers, and they do throughout the year, and they raised money to purchase a tree in honor of Michael Coppola Jr., who was a Verona resident. He was in the Navy. He served in World War II and Korea, and they used their money to purchase a tree. Thankfully, they reached out to the Environmental Commission, but the Environmental Commission then reached out to Hillcrest Farms, which helped them out, not only purchasing the tree, but they volunteer their time to go and plant the tree. It is up by the community center in the garden. To the right, when you pull in the driveway, there's a new garden there. They're right in the center. And thank you to the Public Works Department that Dave Capola, Michael's son, got a stone engraved with his name on it, and they mounted it in cement there for him, so you can go up there and take a look at it. It was a very nice gesture to him. He was a Verona resident that grew up in the neighborhood of where Verona Rocks started, so they wanted to honor their neighbor that way. And lastly, with what's going on in this world, specifically in the Middle East, the Verona Clergy Council had their day of prayer, and it was really a very, very nice evening. I commend the mayor for the idea and getting these people together and doing it. And it really was just a call for peace. That was the theme of it. And the speeches that were given were very heartfelt and very warm. So I'm happy that it was very well attended, and everybody should think about it and really pray for peace in that area, because it's getting very bad. So that's all I have for this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilman Roman.
I'll just second my colleagues' comments on Halloween. Just an amazing event. I really love the events when we can just fill up the town square and make sure that nobody ever says, hey, there's nothing to do this weekend. We had plenty for entire families to do. So just congratulations to everyone who worked on putting that together. It really came out great. So thanks very much. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. I too want to congratulate the Verona Juniors for their very successful Verona Fights Hunger Week. Not only did they collect nearly 1,700 bags of food that's much needed by the Holy Spirit Food Pantry and the Human Needs Food Pantry, which is located in Montclair, they collected an incredible $9,000 in cash donations. I think that is a record for them. And so they really had a successful event. Deputy Mayor, the food is sorted by pantry volunteers on Sunday. And so next year I will make sure to give you an invite. I was there sorting with my son, and it is really wonderful to see how much food does come in. And I'm sure Holy Spirit also has their own sorting. So I think that's a great idea for council members to attend as well next year. The Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee did meet. They have once again partnered with the Verona Public Library for their plans for Diwali, which is coming up this weekend, which is really incredible because tomorrow's Halloween. So the event is on Saturday, which is November the 4th. So it starts with the council members lighting the traditional tea lights at 1:30. There'll be crafts in the library at 1:50, food at 2 o'clock, and then at 2:30 there's going to be a folk dance workshop. This is a great collaboration of the library and the multicultural committee, so I'm excited to see my colleagues there. In addition, the committee drafted a report on accessibility of township buildings. They sent the draft report to the administration, who, to our incredible surprise and we were thrilled, wrote back with a 3-page memo detailing their response and recommendations for the future. So both the report and the administration's response will be provided to the council shortly. The committee members are just making some final last minute adjustments to their report, but it's great to see their recommendations be put into action or be tabled for the future when grant money becomes available. So I'm excited for the council to see that. And I think that's the bulk of my report. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. I won't repeat all of the statements of my fellow council members. I did participate in several of the same events and then missed some of the great events. It was our first year missing Halloween and the downtown trick-or-treating, much to my 9-year-old chagrin. We were actually at soccer and field hockey games continuously for the last several weekends, making up for the rain where possible. But it did provide me a great opportunity for early voting at our Verona Community Center. So despite like completely packed parking lots, there was a great opportunity to vote early because I know that we're all busy during the week. So I want to thank our municipal clerk, Ms. Kiernan, for helping to arrange that and for the amazing poll workers who were there. In addition, there was a Recreation Advisory Committee meeting the day after our last meeting. It was a very busy week. And during that discussion, during that meeting, there was a robust discussion about the basketball program. There was also a discussion about the pool, a review of the pool survey results, and in particular, the comments provided from the residents. The committee established a subcommittee to review the pool fees and expectations, and their goal is to utilize the month of November, which is a bi-month for the committee, given the holidays, and then return to the committee with some recommendations and more discussion points at the early December meeting. There was also a robust discussion about the status of our fields, not just Everett Field, but also Centennial Field. A really good look at the status of Centennial Field. And the fact that we really truly are on borrowed time. You know, the field is passing because it's an average. There are certainly points on the field that are dangerously close to the maximum limit, which would, you know, then fail the standard. But because it's an average of the different sample locations, you know, that actually gets us under that limit. So certainly the committee is very interested in consideration of returfing Centennial Field. There was a discussion about whether it needed to continue to be lined as a football field, given Freedom Field and the fact that, which I was not aware of, it was stated that the football teams don't even utilize it anymore because it's not regulation. And so then, given all of this discussion, as well as the robust interest in Everett Field, there was the establishment of a subcommittee on fields as well. So those residents are going to be, those committee member residents are going to be looking over those items and returning to the committee with discussion points. I believe that they will also be looking into the field utilization study because there are definitely some flaws with the draft report as they saw it. So they were going to be returning with recommendations on that as well. So it should be a very interesting December meeting. In addition, the very next day, there was the VMAC committee meeting, and I was so grateful to see our committee members here earlier this evening, speaking about Safe Home Month, and they did discuss their October family night and plans for the future. So I think these are really worthwhile programs, and I'm very happy to support them. So with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you. At this time, I am going to open for public comment on any item on that anybody would like to speak about. Madam Clerk, please read the public participation statements.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button monitor. If you're dialing in by phone, you can press *9. If you're attending in person, please approach the lectern. When you're recognized, clearly state Township of residents for the record. Your address. However, if you do, please note that these meetings will be posted on the Township's YouTube channel and addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council and there'll be no cross dialogue during this portion, but after everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the council may address your comments and or questions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time, anybody who wishes to participate is invited to the lectern in the council chambers or to raise their hand on Zoom. We have Mayor Emeritus Ryan. Mr. Ryan.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Just one very quick comment. One quick comment. The sound quality from the podium is still very poor for the audience on Zoom. So if the council mics are in great shape, the manager's mic is in great shape, but unless it's just my computer, the presentation by VMAC and also Mr. O'Sullivan was very spotty, and I'm being charitable when I say that. So I just wanted you to be aware of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Anybody else? We're going to close public comment, and I will share some insight. Mayor Emeritus Ryan, I appreciate you bringing that up. Basically, the way this room is set up is that there's a multi-directional microphone for the Zoom that creates effectively a cone. The Councilman Roman was kind enough to offer a suggestion for a quick fix, which was to add some auxiliary USB mics. So we've asked the Township administration to look into that. So I think that should help in the meantime. One of the items that we discussed in the as one of our priorities was to try to actually just design a better system for this room. It's just something that needs to be done. So we can add that to Mr. Diarco's ever flowing list, and that should be something that we address. But we thank you for the comment. We're hopefully adding microphones will help. Anybody else for Mr. Ryan? Okay. All right. We are moving on to hearing and adoption of ordinances. The next item on the agenda is an ordinance on second reading. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of ordinance number 2023-43 into the record?
Fixing the salary and compensation of the acting director of community services for the 2023 calendar year.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody care to move the ordinance?
So moved.
I hear a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Roman. At this point, I'm going to open for the public hearing, the public comment on ordinance number 2023-43 only. Madam Clerk. Same comment, just please only make a statement about this ordinance. The public comment is open only for the hearing on this ordinance.
Correct.
Anything to?
Nothing, thank you.
I'm going to close the public hearing on this ordinance. Is there any council discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tambora.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance 2023-43 passes 5-0 and will be published according to law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is an ordinance on first reading. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of ordinance number H1 into the record?
Amending the code of the Township of Verona, Chapter 390, Property Maintenance, by the creation of Article 2 entitled Lead-Based Paint Hazard Inspection Requirements for Rental Dwellings.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move the ordinance?
So moved.
The motion is by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Roman. Is there any council discussion on this item? No. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sorry. Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tambora.
Yes.
Mayor H1 will be numbered 23-44. Published according to law, and a public hearing will be held on November 13th.
Thank you very much. We have another ordinance on first reading this evening. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of ordinance number H2 into the record?
Amending the code of the Township of Verona, Chapter 5, Administration of Government, Article 9, Department of Community Services, to allow for the flexibility in the appointment of the Director of Health and Welfare and Director of Recreation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody care to move the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilwoman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by the Deputy Mayor. Is there any discussion on this item? I did see it was corrected based on the comments from new business. Thank you, Mr. Loya, for that.
Thank the clerk, took care of that.
Oh, great. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
There we go. Okay. All right, seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro,
Yes.
Mayor. H2 will be numbered 2023-45, and it will be published according to law. Public hearing will be held on November 13th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, we are on to our consent agenda. This evening, we have a set of minutes and 3 resolutions because we removed resolution K4. We did that earlier today during the manager's report. So we have a resolution to ratify the October 20th, 2023 emergency meeting action. So for the public edification, the council was forced to have an emergency meeting because if we didn't, we would lose several $100,000 in street funding. So we had to have the meeting by that deadline. It was actually, the deadline was over the weekend, which is a very odd time to have a government deadline, but it's the state of New Jersey, Mr. Biarco, so what are you gonna do? We did have 4 council members in attendance. And the motion passed at that point, but we ratified this evening. We'll be canceling some unfunded appropriation balances under bond ordinances as indicated in the council packet. And we will be authorizing the shared services agreement with the Borough of Roseland for the building department technical assistant, technical services assistant. I think there's another assistant in there. We currently provide the local agreement for the building code enforcement officer, our building inspector, and now we're adding his technical assistant to this, Mr. Derrick.
If I may, Mayor, the technical assistant, we're on an interlocal agreement where their technical assistant will be provided to us on a part-time basis to cover our shortage due to a employee illness. And we're required to have technical assistance.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
With regard to that resolution, it's fine on the agenda, the body of the resolution is fine, but the title on the resolution itself indicates it ends in like 2026. So that has to be changed, it actually ends the December of this year.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Those are our items for the, and we have 3 licenses and permits. Madam Clerk, are they all on order this evening?
Yes, they are.
Wonderful. All right, would somebody care to move the consent agenda minus K4?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can we pull item K1 from the consent agenda?
certainly. Okay, would somebody then care to move the consent agenda minus item K1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you to Councilwoman Holland and Councilwoman McGrath for the motion and the second. Is at this time we'll have public comment on just the consent agenda items. The same public comment statement applies. We have not seen any changes in the Zoom rooms, so keep going with that. And public comment is open. Okay, seeing done, I'm going to close public comment. Is there any council discussion? Okay, seeing none. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, resolutions K1, K2, I'm sorry, resolutions K2 and K3 will be numbered 178, 179.
Would somebody like to move resolution K? The motion is made by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councilman Roman. This time I'm going to call for public comment on resolution number K1. Same public comment applies, limited to resolution K1. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'm going to close public comment. Is there any council discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from this item. It is the street that I live on.
Thank you, and noted. Councilwoman?
Just a quick question, when is construction expected to start on this project?
Good question. Kevin, we got a turn?
There's some.
Okay,
So there might be some.
And is this subject to those rules that like work cannot happen during certain periods of time? Which we historically got jammed up with a past road project in Cyprus.
The November 15th.
Right, there was like a
Deadline of when you can pave.
Oh, so there.
But we're not gonna tear the street up until we can pave.
Okay, that was where I was going.
That's the,
We're on the same wavelength
Yes.
on that,
Alright.
yes.
and when we start to have any motion here, we are going to have a meeting for the neighborhood.
Meeting, yes,
Zoom, in person, everybody will be notified, hand delivered letters.
yes, sir.
My favorite thing. Thank you, Mr. Diok. I always enjoy attending those. And
Shade Tree is on notice.
And well, yeah, we still need to work on integration with Shade Tree, but we'll take that also offline. But on Shade Tree, I just want to note that new shade trees were planted on this block, probably because of resident request. So, you know, I'm expecting those shade trees to live through construction because we invested in them. So again, it was a little curious that since we were gonna do so much construction, that new shade trees were planted in this area this fall, so we need to make sure we protect that investment.
There would be a making those.
Well, that's whatever we plant as part of this project. I'm talking about that we, as a township, planted new trees on this block just a few weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, like outside of the project, so,
Any damages to the site. The responsibility contract.
okay, good. All right, thank you.
any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes,
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes,
Mayor K one will be numbered 2023-180, and it passes 4-0.
thank you. At this time, we will be moving to our addendum. Tonight, we have a contract authorization for Whitmer Public Safety Group that was added this evening related to the Verona Fire Department maintenance and the wastewater treatment plant. No, hold on, this is,
I gave you a new one is underneath it.
oh,
I have
okay,
that's
sorry.
small grammatical
Okay.
error.
Okay, thank you. All right. And then we're gonna hold off our discussions till new business on the ordinance to amend the water consumption surcharge. And then we have a VMAC appointment. We will handle these one by one. Would anybody like to move the number M1 versus M1? I'll move it. For a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. At this time, I'll open for public comment on resolution M1 only, just the Whitmer Public Safety Group. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comments. Any council discussion?
Let's see, I don't know, did the first whereas get corrected?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's in the other version. Okay. All right, seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, you're up.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
yes,
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes.
Mayor, resolution M1 will be numbered 2023-181.
Okay.
Passes 5-0.
And our next item then would be M3, which is our VMAC appointment of Ms. Regina Tully to VMAC as the FN Brown representative. Which is, Ms. Tully is a phenomenal asset to Verona, having served in the municipality as a teacher, so I'm thrilled to see her on this list. Will somebody please move that appointment?
so,
Well,
I'm sorry, like,
Okay, I'll move it, you can second it.
Thank you. I'm glad that we're all working together up here. Okay, at this time, we'll open for public comments on Ms. Tully's appointment.
Just a thank you.
Many thank yous. That is one of the committees where we had some vacancies, and we've been filling those vacancies, which is wonderful, and it is a vital committee to this municipality and to, especially to our school age population. Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Like already closed public comment. Any other council? Yes.
I just want to, can you just call for the vote, because we had it moved and seconded?
Yes, I haven't called. That was good.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
We just had Jack participated, and now would you care to call that roll?
Sorry. Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Ms. Tully's appointment passes 5-0, and I will be congratulating her tomorrow meeting.
Thank you very much. All right, our first item on new unfinished business is the discussion on the water rate surcharge. So the background on this is that we previously had our water rate, and when we had to go to the purchase all of our water from Passaic Valley, we did add the $1 surcharge to the water rate. The recommendation from the administration is to simply strike the termination date of that, the expiration date of that, to continue with that surcharge while we wait for the full rate study. Is that an accurate description, sir? Thank you. Any discussion on the recommended ordinance, the red line? Councilwoman.
I will just note that, by way of background, I objected to this ordinance at the time of its adoption because I thought it was disingenuous to title a portion of the rate increase a water surcharge. It was designed in an effort to mitigate the appearance of a larger rate increase. And it was established as temporary in nature by a majority on the council. I personally don't think it's appropriate to be titling it a surcharge. And I don't think it's good rate making, and I will not be voting for any utility rate making during the pendency of the rate study. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I will just, I remember from our discussions when we did this, that it was a surcharge because we were purchasing all of our water from Passaic Valley at a rate of, I believe it was $3,000 a day. So I thought it was appropriate that more than appropriate, it was needed to cover our expenses for that increase in water.
I go ahead, Councilman.
And I'll comment, I mean, it's nice to stand on principle like that, and I agree that, you know, a long-term rate study and understanding of our needs is necessary, but we also have to worry about the fact that this utility has to be self-liquidating and we have to be able to finance it. You know, we kind of don't have a lot of great choices here. We either sort of speculatively increase rates based on our current understanding of our operating condition, or we put the surcharge in pending the completion of a rate study and we take final action at that point in time. I mean, this seems out of necessity. You know, either it's poor rate making for us just to make an estimate based on temporary conditions, or it's poor rate making for us to put a surcharge in while we're waiting on a formal rate study. I don't understand where we're supposed to go other than this.
I tend to agree with that. I think that this was not disingenuous when it was put in. I think that's an unfair characterization. It was put in because we are buying all of our water and we do not set the rates for Passaic Valley. And as a result, we did have to add the surcharge for that purpose. Now that our wells will be going back online, we're having a thorough rate study, we'll be able to change that. But in the meantime, if we don't pass this, which will require votes and our meeting in November and our meeting in December, it has to be noticed to take effect, we lose out on the $1 surcharge per 1,000 gallons, which could end up by severely restricting the income to utility and forcing that onto municipality. So I think that would be short-sighted not to vote in favor of this, and thus I will be supporting it when it comes to it. Any other discussion? Councilwoman?
Yes, I agree that we have to continue to charge the $1. I mean, we were just given an incredibly detailed financial analysis. We absolutely have to continue until we have that rate study done. At the time, I did agree that I think to put that end date, I wish we could go back to the videotape. You know, it was pointed out at the time, I think by me and others, it was foolish to kind of put this time restriction, and now here we are. Personally, I would prefer if we just said that the rate effective January 1st, 2023 is going to be $6.92. I think to keep calling this a temporary surcharge is, I think, silly at this point. It's very clear from the fact that we had to bond $9 million that there is no way that rates are going to go down again. And I think it's actually going to be more painful if we keep this line that says temporary water surcharge. We're just going to have to make much harder choices going forward. So I just think we should be transparent with the public and say, hey, rates are going to be $6.92 when the rate study is complete. We actually don't know what may happen with the rates. We may have different rate classes. We may, you know, some may go up, maybe some will go down, but regardless, I think we should simplify it. That's what I would prefer. So we just say the rate effective January 1st, 2023 is going to be $6.92. I will definitely support that. Even though at the time when I did vote on this, I said I would never vote on another rate increase for the utilities without a rate study. I will say with this asterisk that's in process that I'm more than willing to vote on this. But I think we should just simplify the language. To call it a temporary water surcharge is, I think we're way past that at this point, and we should just be simplified with the public. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Mr. Aloya, do you have any thoughts on the language if we were to go in the councilwoman's direction?
I would have to say that it's math. Your rate study, you're either going to increase it or decrease it. Although I haven't seen the numbers from the administration yet, the simple math that we had on our last Wednesday's meeting is when you get the wells fixed and then you go ahead and bond, you might actually be lower than what you're currently at with the, whether you call it a dollar surcharge or whatever. So it might actually turn out to be a temporary surcharge, and that dollar might turn out to be a disappear with a making up a number 80 cent raise in your for 1,000 gallons. But either way, you're fine in calling it. It's at this point the administration needs the math to keep the budget going and keep the utility funded.
Deputy Mayor?
I do agree with Councilwoman McGrath, because when we set this, the wells were down and we anticipated, I know numbers were being thrown around like maybe $3.5 million to get the wells up and running.
Oh, those
And
wonderful
we are-
optimistic
In a
days.
year.
We are 3 times that. So I don't see this going away. So I do think, you know, we can always go back and change the rate later on after we get the study, but I think either way, I agree. It doesn't matter if it's $6.92 or $5.92 with a dollar surcharge. But I anticipated it to go away after we got the wells up and running, but seeing the price tag for them, I don't see it going away.
Thank you.
It
Councilman.
was followed. I mean, yeah, reality based on what we've seen seems to imply that we're going to need more money rather than less money, but I still think that in terms of rate making, first off, I think we have an obligation, you know, while we're responsibly operating our utilities and providing for their future capital needs, to also supply water to our residents at the lowest rate possible, which is why I've kind of leaned in this direction as to, until we know what our final costs are going to be, including our debt service costs. I'd rather not have the temptation to continually ratchet rates up unless it's truly shown to be necessary in long-term operating conditions of the utility. That's why I'm, you know, more inclined to leave it as a surcharge for the time being. When we see a rate study, and if it says that we need you know, a certain rate level that's higher, I will take that under advisement. We need to responsibly finance the utility. I know we need to make sure that it's self-liquidating, but again, I just don't want to have us pressure the rates upwards without 100% knowing. I mean, if it is right and it is 80 cents, then why set it at $1 now?
I tend to agree with Councilman Roman. I think that because we're only doing this pending the rate study, to leave it as is, because that's what the surcharge is for. I mean, we're collecting the same amount of money, but I think it sends a better message that that is temporary until we get the rate study. I've seen in government often watching it, that very rarely do things go down. So I don't necessarily want to increase the rate because we may understand. In the ordinance, because we may understand that might be temporary until we get the rate study. The public without the knowledge of and understanding of the rate study may find that to be objectionable. And might cost us more time explaining that it's the same amount than we actually need. So I'm fine with keeping it the way it is, honestly, just for that sake of ease. So I don't see any, I guess we're 2-2 on moving that forward, but honestly, at this point, I would just leave it and we can discuss it when it's on first reading. Okay. All right, any other items of new business? Okay. Agenda. All right, we did not pass a resolution to go into executive session. So we will need to do that now.
No, there's no updates on anything.
No executive session at all.
No.
Well, isn't that a treat?
They all looked at you.
We didn't have to even wear a costume and ask. Okay, so I will call for public comments on any item, on anything anybody would like to speak about.
If I may make a brief comment for that, Mr. Mayor, I have sent Mr. Yarko and Mr. O'Sullivan information on extension for the
Wonderful. I thank you for your expertise. You cannot charge us your consulting rate. We cannot afford it.
it would be a temporary structure.
Okay,
All right, well done. Public comment is open. Same public comment applies. See, members of the public, we can have some fun up here.
Yeah.
For strange definitions of fun.
Yes.
So fun is.
Okay, seeing no public comments, we're going to close public comment. Are there any motions to come before the body tonight?
A motion to adjourn?
The motion to adjourn has been made by the good councilman. Is there a second?
Seconded.
It is the second by the deputy mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Can stay here. The meeting is adjourned at 8:24 p.m.
Early voting ends Monday.
Early voting. That's Monday.
Vote November 7th.
You're like my students. You pack up
really
before
great.
class is over.
you know,